Okay, welcome to the Teal Shirt Report podcast. I got some of the latest college football bowl games, and these are college football playoff games that are, actually up on our YouTube channel right now, and we'll go over all of it. Okay. Okay. How about that? Teal Shirt Report podcast episode show number 7. College football playoff. 2 teams left now. Has the college football playoff surprised you in? As they take a sip of the juice. Coffee's not bad. It's an 8 o'clock brew with some Don Francisco Hawaiian hazelnut mixed in there. Of course, the patented, got some pumpkin spice creamer in there this morning as well. Thank you for tuning in to the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Our executive producer is JC. I had an extensive conversation with JC on Friday, and we talked about music, talked about the Jags Bills game coming up in Jacksonville. This has really been a couple of franchises that have kind of at times mirrored each other. The big glaring difference is the Bills have been to the Super Bowl numerous times, never won it, but they went there 4 straight years. The Jaguars have never made it to the Super Bowl. We're going to take a look at the line on the game. This is Saturday, by the way. This is the day before the game, Saturday morning, January the 10th of 2026, the new year we're in. 66 degrees in Jacksonville. Going to be a warm Saturday with high temperatures approaching probably about 82, 83. Sky's clearing out. The fog has left. Increasing cloudiness tonight. It looks like lows near 60 like they were this morning. So we'll look for a low temperature again late tonight around 60. Right now, 66 degrees here in the mid part of the morning, but we're expecting highs to get up to 82, 83 with clear skies, but increasing cloudiness tonight. Light south winds, but the light south winds are going to actually become more southwesterly and pick up throughout the day at about 8 to 20, as much as 8 to 20 miles per hour. You can always get our weather at bigjreport.com. On the homepage, scroll the homepage. We're brought to you by Saucer Realty and Capital for your real estate needs in North Florida. Talk to Larry. Find the link to his website at bigjreport.com right there in the middle of the North Florida weather for North Florida and surrounding areas. I think we've got a couple of different forecast areas up, and they're always updated 24/7 each day. And for North Florida and surrounding areas, and there's a link for Saucer Realty and Capital, and right in the middle of one of the weather reports, and then toward the end of the other weather forecast as well. Want to thank Mad Max and the Mad Max Mix.weebly.com. Max interviewed me the other night on his show, his first show of the new year of 2026, and it was a good one. We appreciate the request that you played for me at madmaxmix.weebly.com. Enjoyed the interview. Talked about the old days of Leonard Skinner. Leonard Skinner was the guy's name that was a kind of a PE coach over at Lee High School. But Leonard Skinner, they kind of changed the spelling of the name a little bit. Great catalog of music, and most all those guys have passed away. They're still touring. Ronnie's much younger brother, Johnny, is a singer for the group, and they're going to go back out. This could be the final tour for them in 2026. They're kind of teaming up with Foreigner, as I understand it, coming up some in the new year. Mad Max, we enjoy your show. Great show on Wednesday night, the madmaxmix.weebly.com. You check it out, too. Max plays the Almonds. Atlanta Rhythm Section, Leonard Skinner. I've heard Foreigner, Pink Floyd, great classic rock tunes and groups, and music pop classics as well. I heard Leslie Gore, the old oldie song from her that was back in the Leslie Gore, that was back in the 60s. What was that song? It's My Party. Leslie Gore. I worked one of the stations I worked at years ago. We had I did an oldie show, and Leslie Gore, "It's My Party, I'll Cry If I Want to." The Cars had a song with nearly the same title, but it was a completely different song. And Max, I have to text that to you, but check out the Mad Max Mix.weebly.com. Great show. Max plays a lot of he's a real Southern rock aficionado. I grew up in Jacksonville, and Max knows more about Leonard Skinner than I ever did. I can assure you of that. Leslie Gore, "It's My Party." Max played that one. He played one of my favorite songs by Leonard Skinner. I might have to say it's my favorite due to the memories that went on, back in my younger days. The song kind of grew on me, and it brings back memories. Music does that. Music really does that. Check out the madmaxmix.weebly.com each Wednesday night, again at madmaxmix.weebly.com. The Leonard Skinner song I'm talking about is "What's Your Name?" And I kind of told a story about kind of what that song, what I think about, when I hear that song. And everybody, and this was really right before MTV. So people kind of created their own videos with their imagination. Check out JC live from the pub on Thursday nights at LakeUFallahits.com. Absolutely great internet radio where it's all good. JC live from the pub. I talked to JC on Friday, the night after his show, and the best thing I could probably say about, and it's a good show, the best thing I could probably say about JC live from the pub is it's really upbeat, a lot of upbeat music. You might hear a slow one now and then, but most of the time it's really upbeat music, a lot of requests. Check out JC live from the pub at LakeUFallahits.com. Great, absolutely great internet radio. Absolutely great internet radio where it's all good. Live from the pub with JC. We're 7 minutes in. We talked about all the sponsors, college football playoff, 2 teams left. And what do we want to say about this college football playoff? Playoffs? Well, in college football, they don't put an S on the end. It's college football playoff, which means it's kind of special, right? They started out with 12 teams. They're down to 2 teams now. Miami of Florida has been a surprise team. The Georgia Ole Miss game, which Ole Miss pulled out at the end, or pulled out in the fourth quarter, was very similar to this Miami of Florida Hurricanes Ole Miss game, back and forth, and seems like whoever was going to probably have the ball last had a chance to win. Miami of Florida has proven with wins over teams like, Ohio State, where I think they shut out Ohio State in the first half of their playoff win over Ohio State, and then Ohio State ended up getting about 14 points, I believe, in the second half. But Miami's shown they've got a good defense, the Miami of Florida Hurricanes. However, Ole Miss did put 27 points on them. The game went back and forth. It was a good football game, and Miami of Florida has been a surprise team. They're still playing. You know why they're still playing? They keep winning. They beat a good Texas A&M football team 10-3. Then they beat Ohio State. I believe they won that Ohio State game. What was it? 24-14, I believe. If I got the score wrong, correct me in the comments here at the Teal Shirt Report podcast from BigJReport.com, which is the name of our channel. So we know about the game that was played on January the 8th was actually the Fiesta Bowl. Bowls have kind of taken on a different kind of characteristic now. Some are actually part of the playoff, like the Fiesta Bowl. A close one in the Fiesta Bowl. Miami of Florida Hurricanes 31, Ole Miss 27, a final on January the 8th of 2026. Peach Bowl, Indiana, too much for Oregon. Indiana 56, the Oregon Ducks, quack, 22. The Indiana victory over Oregon, Indiana Hoosiers 56, Oregon Ducks 22. That's hard for me to say a couple of times in a row. Indiana 56, the Oregon Ducks 22, a final on January the 8th of 2025. Now there's 2 teams left. Now, who do you like? Tell me who you like in the comments, Indiana or Miami of Florida. Miami of Florida has a good defense, but Indiana's steamrolling teams. When you talk about matchups in the playoff, and you go back to the Big Ten championship game, which Indiana won over Ohio State 13-10. I guess that was the first weekend in December, and then the playoffs started, several days after that. And Indiana got a bye in the first round because they won the Big Ten championship game. But not only that, they won every game on their schedule. They're absolutely undefeated. Indiana beat Miami of Florida. They blew out Alabama 38-3 in the second round game after they got the bye. Indiana, I mean, what can you say? They beat Oregon by, 34 points. You do the math. The thing I would say about Indiana, if a team has a chance to beat them, I think you got to match up well against them. Who would match up well against Indiana? I guess Ohio State did because they only lost by 3 points. And I don't know how Mad Max feels, who hosts the madmaxmix.weebly.com on Wednesday nights. Great music show. Max is also a Georgia Bulldog football fan, but I think Georgia would probably match up pretty well with Indiana if Coach Kirby Smart has a defense playing well that night. I think Georgia and Ohio State might match up the best with Indiana, but Georgia's gone. They got beaten that back and forth game with Ole Miss. Ole Miss got off to a early 6-0 lead. Georgia eventually caught up and took the lead, and then Ole Miss bounced back, and Ole Miss has been involved in these, back and forth playoff games, which it seems like whoever had the ball getting toward the final stages of the fourth quarter could win or have a chance to win the game. So we take a look at these scores, and you think, man, Miami, Florida is still playing football. The Miami, Florida Hurricanes, they did not win the ACC. Duke was the champion of the ACC, but did not have as good a record as Miami of Florida. Thus, Duke did not get into the playoff. But they won their bowl game. Duke won the Sun Bowl game over, I believe it was Arizona State by like 4 points, I believe. 3 or 4 points. So Duke had a great season. They finished 9-5. They won the ACC title, but they did not have double-digit wins, but they won the ACC championship game. Thus, they won the ACC title. Those players at Duke will never forget that. But they were not in the playoff. Notre Dame did not get into the playoff. BYU was another pretty good team that did not make the playoff. But there's only 2 teams left now. And did you expect these 2 teams? There's a lot of people. Oh, I'm talking about a lot of people. Probably 80% or more of the people did not think Miami of Florida will make it to the final 2. And I would be willing to say that probably 30 to 50% of the people did not think Indiana would continue to be undefeated. The pressure's on when you're undefeated. You take a look at Indiana winning the Big Ten title, 13-10 over Ohio State. Then they get into the playoffs, blow out Alabama. Then Indiana blows out Oregon 56-22 on January the 9th of 2025. And all of a sudden, man, you have to sit down and add up all the games that Indiana has won. Are they 15-0 now in college football? That's a lot of games to be playing in college football. It's not like the old days. You play a 12-game schedule. Indiana was undefeated, and they won the Big Ten title game 13-10 over Ohio State. They blew out Alabama after getting a bye in the first round. They blew out Alabama 38-3, and now they've blown out Oregon. And anybody can lose, and we understand that, but Indiana's been pretty darn good with their coach Cignetti, and their quarterback, as I understand it, won the Heisman Trophy. They're a good football team. And then I get these reports or see these reports that, man, Indiana, they don't have a 5-star on the entire roster. A 5-star basically meaning a guy coming out of high school that, this guy's a 4-star, this guy's a 5-star, but apparently Indiana has no 5-stars. Now, I bet you these guys have kind of transformed themselves. Some of these guys are probably 5-stars now, looking ahead. But what does that tell you? This guy is one heck of a coach. And they are a team. He has molded these guys together quickly into a team. And you'd have to be a team. Indiana's played a Big Ten schedule, the Big Ten championship game. They beat Alabama in the playoffs. They beat Alabama in the playoff. They've also blown out Oregon 56-22. And Oregon was actually also from the Big Ten. They used to be from the Pac-12. College football has changed so much now. I guess Oregon was kind of like your third team, the third best team out of the Big Ten, I believe. And they've gone a long way. They made it to the Final Four. But now you got two teams left. You got Indiana and Miami of Florida. Who do you think wins that game? Put it in the comments. Absolutely put it in the comments. Barry Manilow, January the 12th at the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. He's 82 years of age. I would love to, anybody that goes to that show, and I'm not going to go, but anybody that goes to that show, I'd love to have your comments on that show after going to it. The guy had a lot of great songs. I write the songs, Mandy, and you know, we most of us knew those songs back in the 70s if you were around then. But nobody is really from my standpoint and from the folks I hung around with, there were not a lot of Barry Manilow quote unquote fans. But there's enough Barry Manilow fans out there that they're going to have a pretty good crowd for Barry Manilow and what will probably be his last show ever in Jacksonville on January the 12th at the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. I mean, the cat is 82 years old, 82 years young, as some people would say. We got a lot of other shows up on the site at bigjreport.com in the Neighbors 2 section as well. Foreigner is coming to the area with Lou Graham, Night Ranger. Journey calls it the final frontier, which might signify it could be their final run. And now they have Harnell, the Filipino singer. That's great. Sounds a lot like Steve Perry, as most of you know. So check out the latest shows, bigjreport.com. Scroll the Neighbors 2 section. You'll be glad you did. We're happy to have you on our site. Happy to have you following us at bigjreport.com. The Jacksonville Icemen are struggling some. Sometimes you can have a pretty good team, but you start losing one-goal games like to Orlando. What was it, 5-4 on Friday night, January the 9th? And all of a sudden, the Icemen find themselves 13-15-1. A couple of games under 500 here on January the 10th of 2026 in the East Coast Hockey League season. I think they'll turn it around. I know Bob Arabla was with this franchise for a long time and did a tremendous job. And now I understand he's moved on to another team. I just found out this recently that they started a new team, I guess, up in Trenton, up around I guess that's the New Jersey area. And that's where Bob Arabla landed. And he did a great job for the Icemen for a number of years. I can hear the train way off in the distance. This is the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 7, talking college football. If you want to talk a little bit more college football, and we will, Indiana won it was actually the Peach Bowl game, Indiana 56, Oregon 22. What put the game out of reach? I'm looking at the kind of the box score. Indiana had a 14-7 lead after the first quarter. But in the second quarter, the Indiana Hoosiers poured it on with 3 touchdowns. They scored 21 points and outscored Oregon 21-0 in the second quarter. Oregon did outscore Indiana 8-7 in the third quarter, but again, Indiana outscored the Ducks 14-7 in the fourth quarter. But the difference in the game was that big second quarter onslaught by the Indiana Hoosiers, where they outscored the Oregon Ducks 21-0 in the second quarter. And I keep an eye on the scoreboard. I know John Gaylor does too, our contributor and correspondent. I asked John about the Jaguars injury report. He says, man, it looks like they're starting to get healthy. There was a lot of guys on the injury report, a couple of days back, but apparently not a lot of real serious injuries. So a lot of these guys that you didn't think would play, they may be going to play. I asked Gaylor about, the left tackle. Cole Van Lannon just recently signed a contract. I think they kept him in the game a little too long into the fourth quarter of the blowout over Tennessee, 41-7. That was just my opinion. But he hurt his knee some. Apparently, he's got a shot of playing because Gaylor says Cole Van Lannon, the Jags left tackle, was limited. So he's gradually getting. He must have had a sore knee, strained knee. I don't know what the exact injury was, but it was a knee injury of some sort. Gaylor went on to say, I think the Jaguars are going to test him Sunday and see if he can play. As far as left tackle Cole Van Lannon, if he doesn't go, I'm assuming they'll put Walker Little back out there at left tackle. Should we take a look at the line? I guess we should on Saturday. We've talked about college football. Some people call it, high octane minor league football now, but it's still college football. People know the teams, the colors, the fight songs. The Gators got Tom Petty, the late Tom Petty. They play one of his songs, "You Can't Back Down," between the third and the fourth quarter, along with, kind of the Gator alumni song, "Well, We Are the Boys from Florida." You got a couple of songs that go on between the third and fourth quarter. The four-letter network loves that because they can get some commercials in the midst of all of that. That's what it's all about. The four-letter network, their whole goal has been to have good games. Regular season, bowl games, playoff games. I guess the Indiana-Oregon game was a good game early, but Indiana blew them out 56-22. The Miami of Florida victory over Ole Miss 31-27 was a good football game back and forth as well. JC, our executive producer, we're about 22 minutes in now. About time to check the line. And as you know, our executive producer, JC, is a Buffalo Bill fan. JC, bring me some coffee. Come on now. Here comes a drum roll again for some coffee, right? Have another cup here. Tuned in. Yes, you're tuned in. Oh, you tuned into the Teal Shirt Report podcast, drinking the coffee. Not the Kool-Aid, but the coffee. And we got the Jaguars in the playoffs. Our executive producer, JC's a Buffalo Bills fan, but his second favorite team, I'm pretty sure, is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mad Max has been texting me, "Go Jags." I think Max used to be a Falcon fan. But Max, I'm not knocking you because at one time I was kind of a Falcon fan too when Steve Bartkowski played there. However, in 1993, when we got the team in Jacksonville, everything changed for me. Everything. We'll take a look at the line. Let me see if I can find a line, JC, on this Buffalo game. I kept hearing people over the last 2 or 3 days tell me, I think Buffalo is a slight favorite in the game. Why don't we check in with our source? Jacksonville playing Buffalo. It's going to be in Jacksonville. So you would think Jacksonville with the better record. With the better record being at home, could the Jags actually be favored in this game? Buffalo's got a great quarterback in Josh Allen, the quarterback Josh Allen. The Jaguars have pass rusher Josh Hines-Allen. But this game is going to be this Sunday. We're just one day away from the playoff game coming up in a matter of hours. That's going to be on January the 11th. 11, one of my favorite numbers. Steve Spurrier Award number 11. Let's take a look. That's a whole nother story. Let's take a look at the line. I think we've got some info from our source. I appreciate the info from John Gaylor. I hope Buster Brown is going to be able to play in this game. Monteric Brown. I love our defensive backs. My favorite defensive backs are probably Monteric Brown, Buster Brown, Antonio Johnson. I call him AJ, number 26. And you got Jerry and Jones, who intercepted a couple of passes in the last couple of regular season games to help preserve victories. And I understand, I had heard a report a day or two ago, he was suffering, I believe, from the flu. The good news about that is We found out about that a couple of days ago. So he's got a couple of days to, take the NyQuil, this blue serums, or probably go to the doctor and, get some medicine that's better than what I'm taking, I'm sure. Let's see. Let's take a look at Jaguars and Bills, 1 o'clock this Sunday, January the 11th. People are going to be glued to their sets. And man, I got the source. I got our source picking who will win. The line has changed. There's been some money going on Jacksonville. I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars are up to a 1.5 point favorite. The feeling I have about this game, man, you make a couple of mistakes early in this game. That running back for Buffalo takes off for a couple of runs, and Buffalo could easily win this thing. And I'll tell you right now, I'm going to root for whoever wins this game the rest of the way in the playoffs. Quite frankly, I'm hoping it's my hometown Jacksonville Jaguars. Our executive producer, JC, has been a Buffalo Bills fan since he was a little boy, since his mother got him that Buffalo Bills jacket. His brother got the New York Giants jacket. So JC became a lifetime Buffalo Bills fan, living in the Southeast, in that small pocket of Alabama, southeast Alabama. So our source, JC, says Jacksonville will win the game, cover the spread, and the total will go under. The over-under is 51.5 points, 51.5, 51.5 points. Keep in mind, our source has been wrong from time to time. They still got to play the game on the field, but our source likes Jacksonville to win, cover the spread, and the total will go under. So you can keep all that in mind. Man, this is a huge game. This is an absolute huge game, a test of futility, right? Got to get out there and play the game. Jags got to get the running game going. Ample turnovers, Jags need them. The defensive backs, man, I love those guys. Monteric Brown, better known as Buster Brown. Antonio Johnson. Jerry and Jones. Hope he gets over the flu in the next 24 hours where he can play on Sunday. And I like Dewey. Andrew Wingard, early in the year, man, the first 2 or 3 games of the season seems like his timing was not good. He was getting some penalty flags, and now he's playing pretty good football on special teams out there when he's playing safety. I've never really been and he's missed some time, but I've never really been a big fan of Murray, the safety. But, he was signed to play a role, and he's a pretty good football player. The sad thing was, the Jaguars did lose, what's the guy's name? Jordan Lewis. Lost him 2 or 3 weeks ago to a foot injury, and he's had foot surgery. But I will tell you, up and down, the room, up and down anywhere, that the Jags have enough defensive backs to do the job. From the guys I've mentioned, Buster Brown. Buster Brown is a player in my mind, young football player. He was a late round draft pick, but he is technically sound at cornerback. Then you got Jerry and Jones, picked up a couple interceptions late in the year. Antonio Johnson got his share of ample turnovers. He got one in the last game. It took it to the house, a pick 6. So I got confidence in the Jags defensive backs. The linebackers are good. Olakon had another fantastic year, the linebacker, for Boise Alacon. The defensive line is critical. They got to get some pressure on of course, the Buffalo Bills quarterback, Josh Allen. The Buffalo Josh Allen. The Jaguars got Josh Hines Allen, the pass rusher. Could come down to those 2 guys. And he's a good quarterback. The Bills have had their share of injuries like the Jaguars had. The Bills may have had more injuries than the Jaguars have had. And we'll see. We'll see on Sunday. This is playoffs. It's win or go home. And the real playoffs, for my money, start, you got to win this one. But if you win the first one and you're playing in the wild card weekend, which I believe this is what this is considered, even though the Jags won their division, they got a home game. Buffalo had a good season, but they were in a division where New England had just an incredibly surprising and good year. And so they finished in second, but they're a high wild card. Jags are a 3rd seed. I believe Buffalo's a 6th seed. This game is going to be interesting and entertaining. This has been episode show number 7 of the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Follow us at bigjreport.com. I want to thank our executive producer, JC, big Buffalo Bills fan. But the Jags win this game. I know he's gonna be rooting for the Jags the rest of the playoffs. And if Buffalo wins, I'll root for Buffalo. I'll say it like that. You've been tuned in to the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 7. We have been eloquently produced by executive producer JC, also Alex Nunnery and John Gaylor. Thank you for all the info. Let's hope the team is as healthy as they can be when kickoff time comes around this Sunday, January the 11th at 1 o'clock p.m. at Everbank Stadium. The Jags are now, and Vegas is pretty close to being accurate. The Jags are now a 1.5-point favorite the day before the game on this Saturday, January the 10th of 2026. 30 minutes in, JC. That's going to do it. This has been absolutely the Teal Shirt Report podcast, our channel. And put comments in the channel. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. We got over 2,000 subscribers. Join the subscribers. That way you get alerted about the new content. Thank you for checking us out, the Teal Shirt Report podcast. And the name of our YouTube channel is the Teal Shirt Report podcast from bigjreport.com. Thank you guys for watching, listening, viewing. By the way, our audio version of the podcast is doing quite well. You can find that on our website on the homepage at bigjreport.com as well. Playoffs. Well, they're starting this Sunday for the Jaguars and those Buffalo Bills coming down from Western New York. Going to be a lot of Buffalo Bill fans in the stadium, as well as a lot of Jaguars fans at Everbank Stadium. This will be the last game at Everbank Stadium where there'll be a huge crowd, because next year, it's going down to about 40,000 plus with the work to the upper area of the stadium. So let's make it a good one, Jaguars fans. This is a big one. Playoffs. The Jacksonville Jaguars hosting the Buffalo Bills. That's going to do it for the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 7. I'm your host, Scott. And hey, I am out. Have a great day.